Good to go.
Call the September 21st meeting of the Parks and Trails Commission to order. Invite those in attendance to stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming in. Good meeting.
I'm going to say one reminder, make sure we're getting extra close to the mics. We got them fixed today, but I am really hoping that we can get close and I can hear everything in the minutes.
Are there changes or additions on the agenda? Otherwise, we'll take a motion to approve the motion to the agenda. Thank you. Is there a second? Second discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Minutes. This is July 20th meeting. Corrections, additions. Thank you, Michelle. Is there a second on that? Thank you. Discussion. All right, all in favor? Opposed? All right, open forum. This is a chance for any of the public to talk to us.
Side note, I think I had the mics muted this entire time. So I apologize to those on the call. We have gone through calling the meeting to order, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the agenda approval. So my sincerest apologies. But if anyone would like to speak, now is your opportunity. If you're on the phone, you can press *9. Or if you're online, you can use the raise hand function and we will let you know when we're ready for you. And at this time, it does not appear anyone is interested in speaking.
All right. All right. Open forum and no presentation. Unfinished business.
All right, we'll start with the request for proposals and qualifications for technically master park planning and design services, but RFPQ for park services is a lot shorter. So I put that down. What has occurred, so July 20th, it came to the Parks and Trails meeting as a draft. August 24th, it went to the City Council for approval. And then August 25th, it got released. So it is officially out to the public. Good job, everyone. We worked hard to get here and I'm so excited. September 15th was the deadline for questions on it. We did get a few questions. I think we had 4 or 5 agencies reach out with some questions. So they have been responded to. An addenda has been added to Quest CDN, which is where we have the RFPQ posted. It's also been added to the website as well as emailed out to anyone that either contacted us about questions or had gotten the RFPQ emailed to them. The future steps, the deadline for submissions is next Friday, September 29th at 2 p.m. The following week, staff will be reviewing the submissions. And then October 10th, we're planning to interview the groups that we decide to bring back or the consultants that we bring back. And I did not include in here, but if we can get it turned around in time, we're going to bring it to the Parks and Trails. And then October 26th, it will go to the City Council for selection and hopefully approval. I know.
And just very briefly, what are we expecting these proposals to encompass?
It should have an overview of how they would provide their services, their ideas for potentially City Park, if they have kind of a timeline on how they'd like to accomplish everything. Just mostly giving us their experience and trying to say, hey, we'd be a really good partner for this. Pick us.
And their piece of work that they're going to do is provide us with a plan for phase 1.
Yep. So they'll finalize the designs for City Park. They would also be our point person for the boardwalk and open space park in the Bellwether development. And then future park planning needs. So developing those RFQs or RFPs for playground equipment, other amenities that we install down the road, helping us kind of master plan what our parks are going to look like, what would be standard, what's the good starting point, just really getting us started, educating me, and then hopefully moving us forward in our park planning.
comments?
You know, how many submissions they get.
I have no idea.
You know,
Mm-mm.
it's online.
Right, and I don't believe we've gotten any so far. I haven't been aware of any, but I would say generally with things like this, I've seen them come in last minute. So I would expect a lot of them to come in day of.
The consultant everything. So what we've come up with so far, they're gonna, boy, that amenity is not very good. Why would you do that?
So included in the questions, someone had asked about the 30% designs, and I had said, we did go out for community engagement. These are amenities that we would like to see there. We would like to stick with these amenities if possible, but it's finalizing the locations and making sure everything is in a good spot where it's not gonna get ruined by stormwater or whatever, so.
As long as it's working out.
As long as it's working out is my understanding.
That's, okay. And the Three River Park District Cooperative Agreement.
Alrighty, so I've got dates on here again. The cooperative agreement, a draft, I believe, came through to the Parks and Trails last meeting. And then it came through the city council during a closed session to discuss expectations of reimbursement. That was deemed private data because it is talking about financials, so it wasn't a closed meeting. Then here I am to provide you guys an update, and then it'll go to city council next week. So we've been working with Three Rivers to get this all finalized. And now we have the actual document in hand. We got it this afternoon. So included in there is the city park alignment. So they are providing up to $20,000 towards the design of the alignment and the location of the wayfinding signage, because we were going to be it was like the top tier of their wayfinding signage. So navigating the trail through there and finding the location for that, up to $20,000 reimbursed. So that'll be nice because the cost of a consultant is not cheap. Other than that, we are planning on getting a reimbursement at 25% of an 8-foot trail cost. So our reimbursement amount is $17. A quarter of that is $4.25 per lineal foot. Since we're adding that additional 2 feet, that's a quarter of an 8-foot trail. So we're multiplying those segments by 425. With that, it comes out to approximately $68,000 and some change. And then they also included what is a regionally significant threshold. And so those would be the moments when we would pass the trail sections off to Three Rivers once we reach that point. And the threshold is as follows, at which time roughly half or more of the visitation is from people living outside of Corcoran. The trail directly connects to existing regional park/trail destinations such as Baker Park Reserve, or the contiguous/continuous trail length outside of Baker Park Reserve equals or exceeds 3 miles. That is the threshold.
They would take over that.
The sections, correct. So it might not be that they'll take every single section, but once a section reaches one of those thresholds, that's when we can go back and say, hey, can we pass it off to you and get our reimbursement? And correct. Yep. The only caveat to that is that they would not maintain it during the winter. So it'll be similar to the Lake Independence Regional Trail, where if we want it maintained in the wintertime, we would have to be the ones to maintain it. Not we like the commission, but we like the city. It will be in the council packet next week, but I can get it emailed over to you too once it's officially public. Would you all like a copy? Perfect.
That's something you get experience with.
Some experience in that. But just curious, as we're making decisions on how we came out. Yeah, knowing what those thresholds are.
We'll probably get something like this again. Other questions and comments? I think this is marvelous. This is moving on. You know, like, when can we, when are you gonna actually work on the job?
We're making a lot of progress in the matter of like a short time, which is kind of fun to watch. I mean, it's a long time in the grand scheme, but all of the big steps are coming really fast for a lot of things, so it's been exciting.
Okay. Who does this?
So included in your packet is the announcement that Lisa Weifels had to resign. They made the decision to unfortunately not move back to Corcoran. There were just some circumstances that didn't allow for it. So they will not be coming back. She cannot come back to the commission because of that. That being said, if you guys have anyone in mind for a commissioner member, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. If they have any questions, they can certainly contact either me or Deputy or City Clerk Friedrich, not to be confused with Commissioner. Any questions on that? Yes, so that was gonna be a conversation I was gonna bring up when we get to the. No, you're good. If we want to talk about it now, we certainly can. She is. Same.
Yeah, Lisa, it's been a pleasure. You know, your ideas are always wonderful. You represent an important part of the Corcoran community, and we will miss your insights and contributions to the commission. So, and I hope all this moving around that you're doing works out really well for you, but I'll be walking back and forth.
Well, I told her she could always sit in the audience if she wanted. And I will say, it says Lisa is on, could be a different Lisa, so you might have just thanked a random Lisa.
All right, item 8B, future program.
I am really excited about this conversation. It is early, so none of what we're deciding right now is set in stone. I don't need motions. I just want to kind of get a idea of where you guys are at. Chair Anderson and Vice Chair Christensen and I all met together last Wednesday. And now someone is asking if Michelle's mic is on.
Yep.
Let's try. We're just gonna troubleshoot mid-meeting, sorry.
Let me know what I can do. Keep talking. Can you see the little green microphone go up and down? That's good.
So we'll try and go this route, and
Okay.
if this is no better, please let us know. So continuing on, future programming, can hear her perfectly now. We are good to go. All right. So Chair Anderson, Vice Chair Christensen and I met last Wednesday, and when we were talking about this meeting, something that came up was, what does the future programming look like? We're gonna have a new park that has new amenities that's gonna require some thought. And so I'll go through some of these slides, and then if you want me to go back and we can talk through each one, we certainly can. But I've got about 5 or 6. So one thing we're gonna gain is the splash pad. So with that, we could do birthday parties / private rentals, day passes, season passes, special events, either hosted by the city, or if someone else wanted to come in and host something, we could look at that as an option. We would also be gaining pickleball courts and then a tennis court. So with that, we could consider things such as private rentals, lessons, leagues, tournaments, and general usage. Maybe even clubs too. I think I've heard of pickleball clubs or associations. Future programming with regards to the multi-use building. This is very usable as far as I'm concerned, because we've never really had indoor programming space, so this is exciting. With this, we could include birthday parties or private rentals, special events, and what I'm most excited for is classes. So arts and crafts, STEAM classes, so that's science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics. Fitness classes, they would have to be smaller in size more than likely, but we could still accommodate some. And then safety classes, babysitting classes, first aid, CPR, things of that nature. And then educational sessions like retirement, money saving. We finally get to be like other cities that have these informative like
I love
classes.
that thing, yeah.
Basketball court, this one gets a little harder to program on just because it is only one court, similar to the tennis court. So this could include private rentals or general usage, but if you guys have other ideas that I'm missing, definitely reach out or speak up. And then the larger parking lots, I'm also really excited for. We could do special events, we could do farmers markets, we could do a food truck festival, chalk festivals. Kind of a hodgepodge of things. We would just have to block off some of the parking lots. So with this, I would envision that the big parking lot that was located where the big parking lot is now in the southwest would then be used for parking, and then likely that parking lot that was up by kind of the multi-use building and where the T-ball fields are right now, those would be used for like the programming aspect. Because then people still have somewhere to park, they don't have to walk very far, but that's should be enough space to accommodate a lot of these things, I think. And then ice rinks, private lessons, or lessons, private rentals, general usage. Again, we're kind of limited just because we're getting 2 new ones in this plan, and then one of them would remain from the old one, so kind of a mixture. And that is my list for the new amenities. Do we want to start from the top? Go ahead, Michelle.
The volleyball court's missing.
Okay. Well, we can include that, but I'm probably not going to add a slide. But I would say with that, I would not envision a league because again, we only would have one. Maybe lessons, maybe. Otherwise, general usage or private rentals would probably be the outcome from that.
Is there a plan to be a space to rent like equipment at all, or is it all gonna be,
What kind of equipment?
like if there's pickleball paddles or volleyballs or?
That's something to discuss. I can go back to the pickleball one if you'd like.
I'm not saying there should be, I'm just thinking of how it would work in practice with, or I guess the lessons would provide some of this equipment as part of the.
Possible, I could reach out to other rec agencies and see what they do. We've got a couple of options. They could either be in-house and we could hire people out, or I'm sure that we could find a company to go through an agreement with and they could run it.
Would it be open to the public for like pickleball courts? Or would you have to like reserve them?
It's a really good question. Pickleball is incredibly popular right now. And I can tell you that I have heard of problems trying to get onto pickleball courts. So I would envision we'll probably have to have some sort of schedule. This is open time, this is reserve time. It'll just have to be very transparent on how we're scheduling. So that people know what to expect. Otherwise, I do know that pickleball etiquette is to take your paddle and hang it up on like this board, and that says that you're next, and then there's like a line of hooks. And so if your paddle keeps moving up, then when yours is the next one up, you get to go. So they kind of have a system, that community, which is nice, but it'll be incorporating it into what works best for our park.
Because if there's someone that's doing lessons, you would maybe want to block up a chunk of time for the lessons
Right.
or a day or something.
And if they were doing lessons, then I would imagine
Couple
that they would
days.
reserve it.
Yeah.
If they're providing lessons on our park or on our courts for free, I would be surprised. Generally, they would reach out.
I would think so.
I don't think they would want other people there either.
Right.
Was the community building gonna be part of phase 1?
Yes.
Okay, so if we that would be where we'd run everything out of then, the equipment rental potentially, the.
Potentially, we would probably have to look at more storage. So that would be something that we discuss.
How big was the building in the plan? Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head, it's,
Not that big,
it'd probably
close to it.
be pretty close, I would think, because if you're familiar with the building in Rogers at their main park there, right off of Main Street, I think it is, with the splash pad, the pavilion, it would be double the size of that is what we're budgeting for right now.
I have a quick question, just thinking outside the box here, and I know maybe there's not even space, but I know that in checking in different volleyball leagues in the summer, they're all full. Like when you try to get in somewhere locally, you can't get in, or you get put on a waiting list. So I'm just wondering if it would be beneficial, since that's another popular sport in the summer, to have more volleyball courts and maybe start a league. And what would that look like? Just wondering, just gonna throw that out there, because if it's a way that we could increase revenue for the parks, that would be a good thing. And it seems like I've seen it ranging anywhere from $300 to $420 per session for like an 8-week session, 2.5 months for a volleyball league. And if you had 3 or 4 courts and you had 8 sessions, maybe that would be worthwhile looking at to just increase revenue.
I
don't
don't know
know.
that we would have the room for phase 1,
Okay,
just because of where the volleyball court is located on the plans.
sure. But maybe something to keep in mind if it's better to put it into phase 2, if it's gonna go somewhere else.
So we'll see each phase before anything. So we'll get another chance to add things
Review.
like that, right?
Yes,
Okay. So if that's
it
what
will
you want,
absolutely come
I
back.
think we're gonna look at that again and then bring that same point up.
Okay.
basically.
Okay,
And once we get the consultant on staff to help start planning that can definitely be a conversation with them. I mean, if
Mhm.
that's something that the commission is interested in doing,
Mhm.
I would say with 1 volleyball court, not feasible.
I'd agree.
We would probably need at least 2. I know Golden Valley has 2 courts and they run out of Brookview.
Okay,
Do we want me to go back at all?
I think we need to think about what we want in our building. Because if we're gonna run classes, well, we need facility for that. We want equipment rental. We need an office with storage, we know all that. So all this stuff kind of plays into the details of what we're actually gonna build, I think.
One,
Me.
two, have you been to the Plymouth? It overlooks, it's across from like where the high school is. It's that huge, oh, it kind of looks like this on a smaller scale, but it's really big and open, but it has the space for like it was a kitchen space. But you could incorporate more openness, so there's like a breezeway that kind of goes through, so it stays cooler versus having it all closed off, which I can't tell by looking, even if that's even what it looks like.
So kind of.
Okay,
The plan was to have the overhang on one half of the building, and then the other half of the building would be that multi-use room, the changing and bathrooms, and then the utility room for the splash pad.
This isn't a rendering for us though.
No.
right? Oh, okay.
No, I.
This is
found
just
this
what you
on
think
the
would be.
internet.
that's
okay.
cool.
It
I
is
like
pretty,
the
though.
overhang, it provides shade, some shade.
And I
Mhm.
think the Northwest Greenway is what is the pavilion.
Yes,
you're
it is.
referring to.
Yes, it's really pretty. If you haven't seen it,
Hmm.
you should
It's
stop out
stunning.
there. Especially if there's like
Which city in Plymouth?
Plymouth, like if there's if there's a wetland, like on one side of this, it'd be cool to have it be more open, so there'd be like, when you walk in, you see all the really pretty wetlands in the back
Yeah.
of it, or however it's situated.
I'm all for openness, but I don't really like the modern with all the jaggedy roof lines. All the cities do that and.
This is not our.
Boy, I know it's not. I needed to say it. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. That's why we live here.
But I think the covered area is really important too. It could be a gathering space, because even the
Uh-huh.
park we do have, like Wildflower Park, there isn't any covered space.
Covered space.
And it like becomes a challenge to kind of just go there or bring a lunch. You can't do that. It's just too much sun. So I think, because this is kind of, the plans I've seen kind of central to a few amenities too. So that
Mhm.
covered space would be,
Mhm.
yeah, that should be nice.
The idea would be that it would be connected to the splash pad. And then I think when we were all discussing it, Lisa had brought up a fence around it too, to try and keep things contained and keep kids from running off
Mhm.
and running in if they don't have a swimsuit on, and then their parents don't get mad that they're soaking wet in the car.
So you had day rentals with the splash pad. Is the plan to have to purchase passes for even residents to get into that, or is that?
We
Still-
discussed it before you were here and we haven't, I don't think we've decided anything yet.
Okay.
So it's something to think about. Do we want to keep it completely open? First come, first serve, all these kids bumping into each other, or a gate where you literally have to pay to get in and then some kids don't get to play as much, right? So,
And that's part of why I said the season pass thing,
yeah,
because for some people, maybe we do family passes too, that's an option. It'll be exploring that further once we have more information on the systems that we could install, even just locations. That'll make a difference.
Yeah, because some of these are nice to have open too, because then you can go sit in the shaded area and the kids go run to the splash pad. You don't have to like sit right against it. Like, I don't know, like at the Minnesota Zoo, it's a big open space. You can sit all around it. And that's nice too, so. Okay,
Did we talk about having like little separate tables with like little tents, not tents, but like shading over them
Did we?
in different parts of like where the splash pad is located? So it isn't just all centrally located right there, but like if someone wanted to be sitting like maybe on the right side of the splash pad or the left side of the splash pad.
I would envision that we will have some sort of seating.
Mm-hmm.
like we've found really valuable, at least my family in Plymouth, like also the short type of lessons or the short activities. I know you're trying to put together those options, but even just like lessons, it'd be nice to have different levels of like, there's just a week where you go 3 days and you learn how to do introductory stuff too. So I think planning on kind of different scales of, not everything's gonna be like a league or like
Mm-hmm.
pickleball reservations, but plan on, hopefully a lot of kids are gonna get to use the space and they're gonna be like short spurts. So it'd be nice to have, like I said, equipment available to those people so they don't have to like, there isn't a big hurdle to get to it. Just, hey, I want to try out pickleball, or hey, I want to try out even T-ball or whatever in there.
Mhm. And I would envision we'll probably contract out for some of that stuff. I know there's a couple of youth sports kind of camps. I want to say Skyhawks might be one. And so they come in, they teach the kids for X amount of days, and then I think each group takes a cut. So, and I want to say that they provide the equipment, which is nice, because then the city doesn't have to take on that cost. But the residents and non-residents still get the benefit from it.
are we staffed for coordinating all of this, even if we do outsource? Yeah, so we're
You're looking at.
gonna have to start small.
At this point, included in the budget currently is the program coordinator role for
Okay.
next year too, so that would help to at least prepare for some of this.
Cause this all sounds great,
Yeah.
right? I've seen it in all sorts of communities. It's great to have that resource, but
That's also. why I
you're
keep trying
great
to
too, but I don't
contractors.
think you'll be able to handle it all, so.
Contracted activities, I
Yeah.
think, are gonna be the route that we'll go for the first few years as we're growing,
Sure.
but
So we should start planning for like a community ed book,
Yeah, so say, how do we communicate?
communications.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would like to try and do most of that digitally because the cost of brochures, and a lot of cities are moving away from the brochures and into a digital version. I wanna say Plymouth just moved away from it, and you have to sign up to get the physical brochure now. I
mhm.
think residents still get it for free, or they maybe have to pay a small fee or something, but
I think I still get the one for Rockford, for community education in Rockford, because I'm in that school district.
This will change the kind of the season for parks. Right now, we're kind of a summer only. Other than the ice rink, which is kind of about 10 days in the middle of the winter, when the ice is good, you know, thereabouts. And now we can have stuff going on all winter. Pretty spectacular, but it's a big change.
Mhm.
I mean, it turns this into much more of a, you know, are we looking for something that really runs on a business model or something that runs on a service model? Or do we need to make money? Do we need to break even? Is it mostly for Corcoran residents? I mean, just a whole set of questions about how we set those priorities. And I think it really comes down to what are the residents of Corcoran value in a facility like this? Do we want to keep it local, or do we really just kind of open it up and go for high volume? Do we want to try and make money on it? It's a reasonable question to ask. I don't think that anything we've done so far has really pointed us in any one direction. But I think the clearer we are about what it is that we're trying to do, then that really determines the kind of things we offer, how big a we only have 4 kids for an arts and crafts class, we still run it, so it's just a whole myriad of questions. Do we expect people to work at a cheap rate because it's close to home, or do we really want to pay, the full rate for the services that are provided by folks who come in and teach classes?
Yeah, and then the people that are gonna be coming in, we just talked about the big trail that's gonna be open. So a big population of this park is gonna be people that are just kind of passing through. So how much space do we want to keep available open to just those that are coming by? And that's an important part of what we do too. So I think drawing in those people as they go by and want to stop at the park and try this or that, yeah.
Do we have any other ideas? Do you guys want me to go back in the slides and maybe we can take them one by one, and if anyone's got any additions?
You didn't have any slide for the large playground. So.
Well, I wasn't really, I mean, I was gonna.
Bunch of grass, yeah.
I was gonna say that we could do, like a playground program. But you usually need the building for that too, so it's. I know some cities do like kind of a day camp playground program, if that makes sense. So kids come out, they hang out at the building for a while, you got staff who keep them entertained. It's almost like daycare, but way more fun.
I mean, it would be the opportunity for, 4th of July to have a kids parade, bicycle parade or tricycle parade, on a big open field. If the field, I'm not sure, I do not remember how big the field is, but, if people could play cricket there, that would be an immediate draw. And I think would serve a big community. And that's not a difficult field to maintain. I believe you need to have the throwing lane take some special attention, but otherwise there's, no wickets, no hoops, no yard markers to mark out.
Well, they do have portable, I don't know if they call them mounds. I don't remember the technical terms, but they do have portable ones, so it could be used for more than just cricket too, which.
Oh, yeah.
Then we can encompass a whole bunch of
Whole
people.
bunch of things.
And we do already have groups from cricket associations that come and use the field, so. I think we're a home field. I think I told you guys that a few months ago. We're a home field for some of these teams. That's how nice they are.
Nice.
What about like a future senior citizen community center? Like not in phase 1 or 2, but like somewhere down the road. I'm assuming we'll be at a point where we would maybe start looking at something, since we have such a bigger population of senior citizen people.
I've seen it done 2 ways. Sometimes cities will do a separate senior center. Sometimes the senior center is kind of encompassed in a community center. Sometimes it's just included in activities at buildings, such as this. I would say at City Park, I wouldn't foresee a senior center going in there.
Okay.
Just because it's more of an athletic complex, and then it.
Yep.
I don't know, but that could be something you guys discuss. I wouldn't envision it for phase 1.
Yeah.
But down the road. Maybe it goes next to the sports dome.
Didn't we talk about not doing the sports dome?
Yes, we did. We did. We'll have to keep trying to push it out if you don't want it.
All right, so splash pad. Any additions, anything you don't like on that list?
That's a cool splash pad.
Again, not our rendering, but.
I don't like the idea of the fence. I know we talked about it just because fences are big, ugly, they're not inviting. Meant to keep people out.
Have to be maintained,
Yeah, I don't know.
painted.
Like we can still have day passes. Sure, a kid might sneak in every now and then, but
That's the beauty of a splash pad. They're not jumping in the water.
Yeah.
It's a pond or.
yeah, I don't know. Who does Rogers do passes? Because Maple Grove does not. Theirs is open.
I don't remember if it's Rogers or Delano that does passes.
Okay.
I know that Rogers does concessions.
That's a good idea.
I like that idea.
I think Delano has passes, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that there is a fence around Delano as well.
Is it done tastefully? Or you don't remember?
I don't remember. I noticed it.
Yeah.
I noticed it when I drove by, so that probably means it looked like it fit. But again, like lots of maintenance probably with fences.
Right.
And I think I really like the idea of birthday party reservations, even if we have free passes, but it would be critical to have like a shaded seating area close to that. If the plan is to host birthday parties, it can't be 200 feet from our shaded area. So I think,
With the birthday parties, I was kind of envisioning a combo package of that inside space with the room. That way they can have cake, presents, store all their stuff, and they don't have to worry about it either getting wet or what
Mhm.
have you. So it'd probably be like a combo.
yeah, or even just the outside with the overhang, if that's close to this. I mean, just proximity, I think becomes important if you want to allow. Or you want to draw in parties to that, you just have that space with it.
Yeah, I'm on board with parties, rentals. I'm not sure about the passes yet. I'm not sure what to think about it.
Would it be like season passes for families in Corcoran only?
You could do it any way you want, I guess, but.
And
So-
only so many? Like maybe you only sell so many and they have like a special privilege on, I don't know, something on Saturdays or something? First come, I don't know. I have no idea how that would even
If you
work.
sell passes, you have to manage that.
You're
So there's
right.
that, and there's a cost to that. And I don't know, we're not charging $20 for a day pass at a city park, right?
Mhm.
So we're probably covering costs at best. So the positive or negative, depending on how you look at it, these passes will reduce the amount of people coming to the park, which parks, especially one like that, would get very crowded.
Mhm.
So, there's that aspect of it where it'd be more manageable in that way. But I don't like the idea of necessarily like restricting people. So,
I wonder if it was an issue in Delano because they had so many people coming and then they had to go to
Had to.
passes.
maybe even had to have the fence. Right?
Mhm.
Is the concern with deterring people, is it the cost?
Well, no, not necessarily that. I mean, this is a public space, it's a public park, I'm just not necessarily comfortable with the idea of saying, okay, yeah, come to our little park and here, use that, but that costs that, and use that, but that costs that, right? If we're doing it for the splash pad, well, we're gonna do it for the park, if we could. I mean,
Like a.
there's facilities for that
entrance fee?
already, yeah, I don't know, we could.
I agree, I
I'm
like,
not saying I want to,
yeah, I like the idea of allowing anyone that wants to go in that spot, designing it in a way that we're not worried about.
well, and maybe,
Groups, but charge for birthday parties, private rentals would certainly be.
that's
we could-
different, yeah.
If there's gonna be a big group that's gonna come, ask that they reserve it in that way, yeah.
I'd probably prefer to not do passes, but then if it gets too busy,
Mhm.
you'll have to have something.
Yeah.
My experience was over at Elm Creek at the sliding hill, where you buy a ticket and it's good for 2 hours for some length of
Yeah.
time. I don't know. I've never gone down the sliding hill in Elm Creek, but it's for a fixed length of time. And so then when you get there, then it's not this huge mob of people. You actually get to have a good time. If the splash pad is so popular that once you get there, it's just, it's like going to Disneyland. You have to wait in line to get wet.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
then we need to do something different.
Right, you haul your whole family out and it's too packed to do anything anyway,
Yeah,
so you're
yeah.
all get everyone back in the van.
Then it looks like it's better to have
So it's a way to manage the.
a way to
control it.
manage.
Yeah, that makes
the
sense.
crowd, Just to keep it.
Okay,
Do they do that by wristband color? Like from 10 to 2, it's
You know,
orange, from
I hear that, yeah, there's. you
2
get
to
a
4, it's
ways to
blue.
do it.
Ticket that you put on your jacket. For swimming pool, I guess you're not gonna do that, but. And then they just announced that group B now is done and group C can come up.
yeah, that's how they do it at like Jump Zone over in Maple Grove, you get a little
Okay.
colored wristband, they say, everyone raise your hands up, who's got the purple, okay, you're done in 15 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's ways to do it.
So we'd need someone to like be there
Someone to
overseeing
manage it,
that,
someone to run
right?
it,
Yeah, or it's just on their honor, it's like you buy a 2-hour pass, but
yeah.
we just, accept that there's gonna be people that stay longer. Could be, it's the other option.
I'm open either way. I lean towards keep it simple to start and then adjust depending on usage and what
Mhm.
we see.
Not to overthink this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, I kind of agree.
I think it's a good problem to have if it's too busy.
Mhm.
right. We can deal with that.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate, keep in mind how expensive water is.
It
And it's-
recycles the water, right?
Which
That's something we could look at.
I don't know how
line is
Splashpads
this
work.
on? Which trunk line? Like which, is it gonna be the new water tower or is it hooked up to the? Okay,
Yeah, I don't know. I
okay,
could ask Kevin.
okay. 'Cause that's a really great point. It's expensive, yep.
It'd be good to get like an idea of operating costs, so then we can start to look
Mhm.
at like what you were saying, do we want to turn a profit, do we want to cover costs? Well, what does covering costs even mean? Right, is that
Right.
dollar pass without do it? Okay, great, where do we go from there?
And at this point, we're
Yeah,
very.
we don't know,
high
right,
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
series too.
How much are we gonna charge to get in the door?
That might be a good thing to know though, like cost wise, how much the splash pad would cost before we even
The
get
operating
started.
cost.
Right, because if it ends up costing us $200,000 a year, I'm just picking a number, I'm not saying that's what it is. We might have to rethink of, like, well, no, we do need to charge for passes then, because we can't have a $200,000 expense with no revenue to
Right.
cover it. Like an average, just how much water does one go through? I can't imagine it would be very much, but
It'll vary depending on the size of the splash pad, so honestly,
Okay.
I won't dive into the details on this until we get a consultant on board, otherwise I'm gonna be
Right.
running in circles trying to get you guys answers.
Yeah.
well, and probably how many fixtures or how many little water displays you have.
That's part
Okay.
of the size, yeah.
Yeah, we may have to revisit some of these decisions
Yeah,
once we
Absolutely.
know more.
Like you said, very.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So. Good on splash pads, I'm hearing yes to birthday parties, yes to private rentals. We're a little uncertain on passes, we like the idea of events. Super duper. Pickleball and tennis courts, do we like the ideas of private rentals? Lessons?
think you're gonna have to, right? Probably.
I would.
With as busy
private rentals,
as they
just
are.
because we do it for everything else right now.
Mhm.
You can reserve the tennis court, the pavilion, one of the fields, so. Pretty standard, I would say,
Mm-hmm,
but it'll be being mindful of how many times someone reserves a court, so that they're not monopolizing it.
mm-hmm.
Is there anything additional that you'd like me to maybe add to this list, consider, look into? Other than operating costs?
I understand that for some pickleball courts, there's a noise issue.
Most of
Pickleball is
them.
really noisy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard ball and a hard.
Medina's having an issue with that right now. They're trying to either close it or move it.
Yeah, and so I think that, we need to design this. I mean, I don't know if you can. If you. Drape the wall, drape the fence around it so that it's sound absorbing. You can do that, or if you need to burn it, or if you really need to put it someplace else. But let's get that figured out early on
Yeah,
in the
that's a
process.
good point.
There, right now, yeah, there are folks living just on the other side of town, aren't there?
Yeah.
And some just down the road, so, and more to come. So,
Mhm.
we should not have to solve that problem later. We should design that in.
Yep,
And lighting. We're gonna, lighting for splash pad, lighting for
Mhm.
any of these is.
well, an intercom system too, I don't know if we
All those.
brought, if that's just automatically included, but if we're thinking of having to have someone check wristbands at some point, we should probably incorporate some sort of speaker system.
Reminder, just the programming, we cannot design it. Gotta get a consultant in.
Yeah, I mean, I would lean on, private rentals are good, but I
Yep.
would want this to be usable by people that again are kind of coming and going too, so we're not, limit that to a certain day or time each day. A lot of so I would design it in a way we're hoping to get traffic and people that come organically, same with all the other ones. So I think keeping it open to all those and trying to introduce people, like I said, the lessons were like introduction type of, hey, we're gonna just be here for 2 hours on a Saturday. Come learn what pickleball is. It's not a full lesson, but just like whoever wants to come and by, go
Just
see.
to drop in.
Yeah.
Learn the game.
Yeah.
Otherwise good on this one?
Sure.
We're back to the building. Do we like the idea? We like the idea of the birthday parties and private rentals. It sounded like we're okay with classes and events.
Mhm.
Are there any other kinds of classes, any other kinds of events that you'd like to see in there?
Yoga in the park,
What was that?
yoga in the park.
Yoga in the park?
Then you wouldn't even need the facility. You could actually probably even do it on the grass if it's not raining.
Nice.
Is it heated? Would it be open in the winter as
Yes.
well? Okay,
Otherwise, the pipes would probably freeze.
yeah,
'Cause that'll be where the utility is, the utility room for the splash pad too.
okay.
So any maintenance that has to get done on it would more than likely be located in there, is the hope.
So we could look at doing like fun painting things maybe in the winter or something.
Can we survey the community to see what kind of classes, events they'd like to see?
I would say we should probably wait until we get a little closer,
Sure,
and a little
yeah,
more
yeah.
finalized in
That makes
amenities.
sense, yeah.
I don't wanna sell someone on something and then be like,
Yeah.
sorry, we actually decided to nix that.
I think I'm more worried that we're not going big enough on that multi-use building. That's my concern, is like, I feel like we don't want to go so small and then all of a sudden we have everything up and we're like, oh my gosh, we built this way too small. Just as a general thought, maybe when we're looking at what we want that building to be, especially if there's utilities in there. But like make it enough room so there's ample space for like a class to be held in there. Or a fitness class if we're in the winter, or,
I will note, so I went out to Rogers and I looked at theirs and there happened to be a staff there, so I happened to get to go inside. It was all genuinely happenstance. And it was a decent sized room, and if we're looking at doing double the size, it would be good. It certainly wouldn't hold a wedding, but I would envision at least a full class.
okay.
Probably 40 or 50, I would hope.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll also be dependent with tables and everything, which is another thing that we'll end up discussing down the road.
Supplies, yeah, we always keep furniture. It would be nice if we could design a building which had just built right into it, the possibility of expanding it 5 years down the road. You
Right,
might as well have that set, so. the
That's
footprint is
true.
good, so that we don't run into some issue if we try and make it any bigger.
and if you're having birthday parties or small events in that building, you'd want to have like a kitchen area. Because you know people are going to end up bringing some sort of food or cupcakes or something. They're going to need faucets, they're going to need something like an area where you can serve things, like a window, or I just think about some of the recent things I've been to at outside events in buildings like this. And they have a huge window that rolls up
Yeah.
and there's a sink,
It's just
There's
like we used to have.
stainless steel,
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
yes, like in the community room. Exactly, yeah,
That's still there.
yep.
It's great, oh, you know, it is.
The community room is not, the
The
sliding
sliding-
door.
The sliding
Yes.
rolling window,
Oh,
yeah.
and the kitchen on the other side.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm,
We just don't have an oven and a stove anymore. I think it got replaced with a dishwasher.
yeah,
Okay.
but that might be something to consider even like if you're doing classes, there might be some people that need to have, like if you're doing a
The
kids
baking class.
cooking class, you might need to have
Sure.
something that they can bake the little things that they make in or something.
I would avoid doing a full kitchen, only because of the mess, the maintenance, the
Okay.
operating cost of that starts to get really high.
Okay,
I like the idea of like, maybe we put a fridge in there, like a miniature fridge for like ice cream and cake to get stored, because on the days that it's hot and you got people in that building, if it gets too hot and that stuff starts to melt. But the sink, game
Mhm.
changer, because you might need it for
You will need it.
the paint classes.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, how you gonna change your water out?
right, yep,
So
yep,
drinking fountains, also something to consider.
yep,
The smaller amenities and like the detailed items will come down the road too.
okay.
But definitely keep them in the back of your mind and start a running list. Are we good on the building?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm,
Basketball court?
Leave it open.
I think so too.
No rentals?
if we rent other stuff, we can have some basketballs to rent. But
Oh,
don't
oh.
specific for,
No, I meant renting the basketball
oh,
courts.
I don't know, do people really do that?
They might. I don't think it would be a bad idea to keep it as.
If
an
we're
option.
renting everything else, yeah, we could save some spots for people.
And it's not to say that we'll block off, you know, from 3 to 4, that
No one
time's
could be
blocked
on
off
there,
every
right.
time. It'll just be
If
if
it's
someone has
rented.
it reserved.
Yeah, that makes sense.
One again, someone could do lessons, basketball lessons. Yeah.
Your annual course tournament is.
Ooh, yes. We used to call it
You're running
elephant.
it?
We used to call it elephant,
not.
because then you could,
Elephant.
you could play longer.
It's a long game.
Staff help, right? You want to join?
That's right, that's right. Corcoran Course Basketball Association, there we go.
That might confuse people if we say the Corcoran.
Yeah. Probably already is a Corcoran Horse Association.
Good on the basketball court?
Yep.
Perfect. And then larger parking lots. Do we like the idea of special events, farmers markets, food truck festivals, chalk festivals?
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Any other festivals or special events? Yeah.
Beer fest.
Some sort of Oktoberfest or something. Be hit this time of year.
Hmm.
You know, I have the Maple Grove has their annual car show. Crowded, busy, holy smokes. And they also have their annual art day.
Yeah.
And those are both really successful. There's no reason we shouldn't do that. Or something
Mhm.
like that, yeah. You have to find the right weekend, but
We could do a tractor show.
absolutely could.
That'd be fun.
That'd be just a hoot.
Well,
Yeah.
because then we're still incorporating that
Mhm.
rural
Rural,
vibe.
yep.
Hmm. I'll drive my tractor up.
I realize that might have come out sarcastic, but it genuinely
No.
was not. I was very serious about that. I can't bring a tractor, but Michelle will bring her
Michelle Rangers, yeah.
big blue.
Yeah, and then
That's right.
timing other stuff with the stuff going on at Lions Park too. There's stuff kind of doing in conjunction around that time.
Sure.
Might be interesting to consider as well.
As long as it's not competing, right?
Right, but like supplementing
Well, and
Like
it might be something
the day
where
before or something. I don't know.
maybe it's a concert before the tractor pull. Kensington Park.
Or the
This is-
tractor show before the tractor pull.
There
Yeah.
you go. That's a good idea.
They could drive their tractor from the park.
A tractor parade. Is there, this is probably a bigger question again, sorry, but like, I'm just thinking if we were to have things like that in a parking lot, it gets really hot. So is there, in our parking lot, are we going to be having like little sections where there's trees growing out? So then you could actually partition the little sections of tents around areas that have some treed shade.
I would
Or,
advocate for no, because parking was already few and far between,
okay,
and we were getting kind of tight on parking, if I remember right.
yeah,
But I would say I would envision like tents. So that would be part of the special events.
Yep.
The other issue with having the plants in like the boulevards, we're either gonna have to incorporate a rain garden and then the maintenance on top of that. I know at one point we talked about it and then I think it got put to the side. But if that's something you guys are interested in, just know that it'll either eliminate some of the amenities because we'll have to make the parking lot bigger. Or it'll eliminate some of the parking, which I would highly recommend against. Because I don't know if you've been there on a Tuesday or Thursday in July,
mhm,
it is tight. People are in the grass, it's hard right now.
mhm. I'm just thinking about some of the events that I've been at, and it's really nice when it's in an area where there's like trees. A parking lot's okay, but I would say if you want to have a really unique, nice, comfortable event, a parking lot's probably not the best place to do that in. I know we can do it. I'm just saying it's nice to have some trees close by. But that's probably a bigger thing again versus,
Well, when it's in the park, it's not like people can't go find a tree.
yeah,
But the landscaping of the park space is something we haven't talked about at all.
yeah,
It's really important.
yeah.
And we'll keep as many trees that are out there as possible, I'm sure, because
Mm-hmm,
they're very nice trees.
mm-hmm,
We're good on the parking lot?
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
So try and avoid the parking lots, try and make it more grass oriented if possible.
I think I like, yeah.
And keeping in mind, we wouldn't have the large green space yet. So it'll be a matter of where do we put it, which is probably gonna be in the southwest if we're going that route. Ice rinks, private rentals, how do we feel about that? We don't currently rent out the rinks. We also don't allow organized games of hockey. But we do allow hockey games that are pickup. Organized meaning you're on an actual hockey team and you're showing up
Right.
and playing an actual game.
Why don't we do that yet? Or,
Because it limits the amount, the rink is
Oh,
only
because there's only-
staffed and
yeah.
open from 4 to 9 on the weeknights. So as soon as you start to go into that.
you lose a lot of time.
Yeah.
I also would like to note that the 4 ice rink attendants out there,
Hmm.
I would feel very bad if they had to kick people off of the rinks for a private rental at this point.
Yeah. But it's such a hot commodity. If we had one rink slated for private rentals only and 1 or 2 rinks that were open hockey, could you then still make a little bit of money on the
So,
rinks?
We've got in the plan, 1 rink would be an open skating rink. 1 rink would be an open hockey rink. Those would be the 2 new amenities, and then we'd be keeping one of the old rinks.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna say it'd be the bigger one. We'd have to talk to the consultant,
Yeah.
because I don't know if the rink that they're proposing for hockey, for games themselves, I don't know if that's full size or if that's the youth size that we have out there right now, because there's a smaller one and a larger one. So
Okay.
which one do you end up renting out?
Well, so
If
I'm
they're
just,
not the same size.
it could be a kind of a fun opportunity because like in the winter, you could do a hockey tournament where you might get something like they have in Minneapolis where you have different adult teams that come in and play hockey. I'm just thinking it could be another revenue stream. It could bring more business into the city if it becomes really popular, kind of like country days.
Anything at the pond hockey tournament? that they
Yes,
do?
exactly. Yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
lower key than.
something like that. And just thinking outside the box, that might be an option for more revenue for our parks.
That's what I got. I would also note broom ball could go on there.
Oh, is that still hot?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're gonna need a bigger staff for
These
these.
guys saying all by myself.
Sorry, I missed, is the plan to allow leagues for one of the ice rinks or were they all?
That's what we're trying, yeah. Because we have 3 of them. Do you
3.
increase the size and make 2 of them full size and have 1 smaller?
We will have 3 when we're all done. We're adding 2 or keeping 1.
Well, taking out 2 and replacing them with 2.
Oh, okay.
We add a 3rd?
I don't know that we have the space for all of the things you're proposing.
Adding a lot to our Bob's plan.
All right, well, this is can be an ongoing discussion here. We haven't even received bids for a consultant. So,
Mhm.
We do have a couple of chats as well. Councilmember Nichols said you should consider building it so you can accommodate a 2nd floor at some future point.
oh,
The,
Pavilion.
pavilion.
and then Katie Drivas said a bike rodeo.
Ooh,
I'm not sure what that is.
I see it as a bike parade.
Hmm.
That's my vision, but I'm not sure. But I like
I
it.
think.
Add it to the
I
notes.
think you give yourself enough red cones, pretty soon you got a.
I see.
Yeah,
Like a little obstacle course.
absolutely, I would think.
You could hold motorcycle lessons in the parking lot. It's big enough now.
And I would teach it, or we'd get.
There's actually a group that comes in, a group of gentlemen that come in and teach. It's a week-long course and they're always looking for spaces to do it. They provide the motorcycles and everything.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So
You can learn how to ride a motorcycle.
You know, I used to learn, I used to
Do
ride, well, it's like riding a bicycle, it's been a good while.
You can borrow Michelle's.
You know,
Your feet can touch.
as long as my feet, I bet my feet could touch, yeah. Further discussion. All right, this is gonna be, obviously going to be ongoing,
Mhm.
but it's good to be thinking, you know, as broadly as we can. The specifics will hopefully fall into place. And Eric Black, the old Parks Director in Plymouth, we toured some of the Plymouth parks years ago, said, you know, parks change because people who use the park change. And so to think about, you know, by the time this park is built, some of this stuff may be hotter or not nearly so hard. So, you know, you have to be nimble, ready to move. And I'm sure that when St. Teresa's done and there's a bunch of older folks, they're really close to City Park. And a lot of those folks, I mean, they'll be my age, but they'll have some special things they want us to do. And that's what parks do, is they respond to the needs of the folks who live here. So,
Mhm.
so it's ongoing. It's really cool.
Yeah,
If you guys have other ideas or think of even the planning aspects that you want me to ask the consultant, I'll keep a running list and then just kind of keep adding to it. Because that way, when we do circle back to it, we're not starting from scratch.
Good.
is there, just now that Tom mentioned that, is there a trail, I believe there is, that's connecting from the St. Therese area to the city park? I can't remember if maybe it only runs along 116. It just seems like it would make sense for there to be something that goes that direction since it isn't going to be very far.
Trying to pull up the comp plan. But I have a lot of error windows.
You can just write that down for next time too, Jess.
All right, thank you all. Moving on, active planning applications. Questions, comments? All right, not hearing no comments or questions. Recreation supervisor. Update.
That'd be me. One second to get the slideshow pulled back up. Hey, things I've been up to. You'll notice at the top, there's a picture of a trail. I visited this trail. Councilmember Nichols had made a note during the last meeting about the trail that goes through kind of a boulevard in the middle of the street. So I went out and I looked at it, and this is what it looks like. I took more pictures than this, so if you guys do want to see more than just this one, I can certainly share them. Otherwise, if you want to go visit, I can provide you the location. But when I looked at it, I will note it takes up a lot of space. And my only other hesitations that I would warn people about is some of the grass is kind of slanted. And if you're riding a bike, I was just picturing a little kid on a bike, and if there's not a lot of trees along there, that made me really nervous because you got cars going on either side. There are also one ways, which is nice because they do still have spots in between the middle part to take a left or a right respectively. So it was a really neat concept. I would just have some safety concerns that I think could be resolved with more trees.
Is that in Maple Grove?
It is in Maple Grove, yes. I want to say it was Rice Creek.
Yeah, I saw that.
And if you guys want the location, I can certainly send it to you. I tried to go out there twice. The first time I could not find it. The second time I did, so I'd rather eliminate that process for you. Other than that, night to night occurred since the last meeting, Country Days, the beanbag tournament, baseball, and speaking of night to night, since he's in the room, Jacob Anderson, he is a police officer with us. Jacob, would you mind stepping up? But you're on camera. Please come to the middle of the room, a little further than the stand. It's not actually on camera. Go.
Yep,
Keep going.
this way.
Keep going. You can
This
see yourself
way.
on the TV when you make it.
Yep, a little closer.
Come
Over
towards.
towards me,
Keep going.
a little farther.
There.
There you are.
So this is Jacob Anderson. He's a police officer with us, and he and I helped coordinate night to night. He was incredible. If you had a neighborhood party, he probably was the one communicating with you. He put in a lot of hard work. It was his first year officially being the other co-coordinator, and I just want to say thank you. And since we're talking about night to night anyways, and you're here, this is your other face.
It was a good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jacob.
She put it together, and that fine gentleman who worked with her also, we miss him dearly. Jack.
Awesome.
We missed him.
Do they ever come back a second term?
So.
We've all said that. And I will hype up Jackson in the next.
Yeah.
I have nothing but positive things.
I see him out at that park going around like crazy, and it's like he really was a go-getter.
He really, it's something you cannot teach.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never stop saying positive things about Jackson. He was a great asset to the team. Anyways, other things, baseball, that wrapped up, T-ball just wrapped up on Monday, machine pitch wrapped up on Wednesday, so yesterday, and then coach pitch wraps up next Wednesday, I believe. So we're coming to the end of the ball season, everything's wrapping up at the park, and then we'll start ramping up for ice rinks. I'll start sending out emails to the schools, if you know of anyone though that might be interested in being an ice rink attendant, send them my way. Soccer wrapped up, and then we are still getting some park reservations, but not too many. And then trails with the cooperative agreement in Three Rivers, as well as visiting this beautiful trip.
Night to unite seemed just, full, just really nice. The arrangement of tables and stuff was perfect. This was much, best of all, best ever. So that was great.
Yay.
Yeah.
If you guys ever have any improvements though, I would love to hear them, because it's never gonna be perfect. I cannot make it any cooler in that building. Sometimes it's just hot. We have fans. But if you ever have any suggestions, we'd love to incorporate them. We're looking at other options for photo contests as well, so. And then we can highlight Jackson. In your packet, you'll notice Jackson wrote a very nice note at the bottom as well. He wrapped up the soccer season, started up the fall baseball season, helped a lot with night to night. He put together scoreboard instructions, which sounds really hard, because to me it is. It's been something on my list for 5 years, and he hammered it out. He was like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with this system. I could just write something up. And I was like, never leave. So just a stellar human being. I could not say a negative thing about Jackson. And
Wasn't-
so helpful, so kind. I got tons of compliments from people out at the park, just a genuinely good person. And then he also helped with the country days team thing for him, so. But now he's back at school, learning lots, and we hope he comes back potentially.
He's pretty young, actually. He's just a sophomore.
Sophomore year. I told him to send a first day of school picture, and he didn't. Wanted to be like a proud older kid.
That's great. All right, city council report. Jeremy, do you have a report for us?
I have a few items from the list that Jessica prepared that I thought might be of interest to you folks. The city administrator search process, we were able to modify some of the introductory questions that all the candidates answer on video. I haven't been given any access to any of those files yet, but my understanding is we're going to get those relatively soon, and then we'll be meeting on September 28th to review council preferences for who we want to bring forward to the next stage. So very sad to see Jessica Bisey depart. We did end up with more candidates this time than we had the last time we had to go through this process. And based upon number and apparent quality, based upon the summaries that I saw, hopefully we'll be able to find somebody who will do a real good job for everybody. We did adopt the pedestrian crossing policy that you folks reviewed for us back in, I want to say July, without any additional modifications. And we went through a little bit of finance and budgetary discussion, including a capital improvement, just a real cursory review, but that did include elements for the city park remaster, subject to further review, obviously, once we get farther down the road with whoever the consultant ends up being. But it's good to see some momentum there for all of us. Did anybody have any questions or topics you'd like to discuss?
Budget is just proceeding as expected.
Yes, we have, I think we're trying to get in the actual levy amount next week when council comes back for the second meeting in September. We're trying to target at a minimum at least the same tax rate as we had last year. We like to get it the same or below. But there have been some property value increase that'll still increase levels a bit, but we want to see on a long-term basis the tax rate decline so that new programs and new costs are borne by new properties coming into the city. And it looks like that should be possible for next year as well.
Great. Anything else for us? Any questions from the council, from the board for Jeremy? All right, I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Garden club report. Michelle, do you have a garden club report?
Oh, am I up for the garden club report?
It's either you or me.
I know, and there has been a lot of watering that was happening in the months of end of August when we had that hot streak of weather. So the garden club took turns heading out to the back and moving the sprinkler, watering the plants. We got the rest of the plants planted. I know one of our club members has been out in the pollinator garden a couple of times, doing some weeding. Lots of weeding's been happening in the back, although the thistles are,
You're winning.
yes, they are difficult this year. But I've heard everybody's having that same problem, I think because it's been so dry, which is weird.
The only thing that survives the drought, like a cockroach in an explosion.
Yes. And I think our next thing will be just putting some mulch down before the fall.
I think we've got getting lined up, so.
Yeah, yep.
I have quotes on that and I'm going to get it ordered tomorrow now that I have the confirmation. And then it should be delivered next week.
Perfect.
All right, good, thank you. Park dedication fund.
Yes, so from the last meeting, I will note, Commissioner Nybo had a comment about the J.C.'s donation and wanting it to say specifically /Sept, so I did update that. Otherwise, there was an 8/23 cost and a 7/23 cost, so July and August. That was just for the pre-approved funds that you guys had said, yep, go buy stuff for the memorial room. So it came out of that memorial park maintenance.
Great. Nice seeing some money in fund.
Can I ask a quick question? I just happened to notice this one. Back in July, North Shore Technologies Park Vegetation. Just wondering what that was.
That was a whole, North Shore Technologies, a couple times a year, it's a company does landscaping work, and they raise their own plants. And a couple times a year, they have a sale, really nice prices on native vegetation and small pots.
Nice,
And that $100, I was, I think, 50 pots,
very cool.
a lot of which survived. So it's kind of fun. They're the ones on the backside of the garden.
Got it, okay.
All right, other business. Commissioner liaison schedule.
Yes, so with Commissioner Weisel resigning, we have the October 12th meeting that would need to be filled. Is anyone interested in taking that? Or trading for yours and then we just kick the can on it a little bit?
I could do the 12th, but then I probably can't do the 26th, so it doesn't buy us much time.
Would anyone like to then take the 26th? Kick the can even more.
Well, I'll do the 20. I think I can do the 26th.
Are you looking to trade or are you looking to?
You know,
Do you want to trade for now? And then that should give us a little bit of time and then
Okay.
we can reevaluate at the
Yeah.
October.
whenever I go to a city council meeting, I'm always glad that I did. It was just an evening away from home. But my wife probably likes that. At least for that.
All right, so then I've got Commissioner Nybo at next week's meeting, Commissioner Christensen at the 12th of October. Commissioner Anderson on the 26th of October, and then we leave it blank for the 9th of November for now, and then we'll reassess at the October meeting.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the chain. I'm not volunteering to move up. I'll stay on the 20th.
I will note the 20th is not a Thursday, if I remember correctly.
It's a
Uh,
Thanksgiving.
It's a
Thanksgiving.
Monday, right?
Thanksgiving week.
I think it's a Monday.
And that is why it has a star, and you'll notice that Commissioner Strahler, yours on the 18th of December, I believe that's also a Monday.
Mhm.
So
The
those are
14th?
gonna be oddballs.
The 14th, it says 14th,
It should actually be the 18th.
18th.
Should be 18.
Oh. Well, my copy looks different from yours, so I got it right on mine. Sorry.
That's what counts.
So you did have agenda adjustments.
You did. You did. All right. Any other business? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second.
I second.
Thank you. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.